everybody. Squamish. Another beautiful day at Camp Suzuki on Shuq'wum on Gambier Island. Beautiful to see that sunrise over the sisters there. I just wanted to share a little bit with you this morning, a little bit more about Shuq'wum. You'll remember yesterday we said it's not a polar bear swim. It's not just like a challenge to try and run in and see who the bravest is, to plunge into cold water. This is a moment for you to focus your energy for the day, to start your day in a good way, being humble, sacrificing, giving a little bit of yourself, to think of others. So really think of those loved ones in your lives that have gotten you here, that support you, and really pray for them. If any of your families are hurting, if there's been any loss, or if there's any illnesses, this is a time for you to have a strong mind and a strong body, to give of yourself in this water and ask for healing for those that you love. This was a really important part of our culture as Squamish people, especially for our children. Right from a young age, we have a word called nuchneo, which means a good upbringing. And we ask ourselves, what does that look like? What is a good upbringing? Not only historically, but today in today's society. It's important to have ceremony in our lives. Far too often, we're just put through school, we get our driver's license, we turn 19. Society tells us when we're adults, but we all mature at a different rate, a different time. Boys are different than girls. Girls would have their own ceremonies that are very private, that had, for us men, we wouldn't be telling the young ladies what to do. It would be up to the grannies, it would be up to the aunties to take the young ladies and guide them. For us guys, we take our nephews up the mountains all the time, and we always tell the moms, it's really none of your business what we're doing with the guys, because it's up to us as men to train the young men. And there's all sorts of methods that we would do. So cultures all over the world, they practice rites of passage. They sort of have ceremonies when you start going through your changes into a young adult. We honor that time in our lives. So we wanted to incorporate that here at Camp Suzuki. So oftentimes our medicine people or our elders will tell us that the salt water has certain power, that it has a certain energy, it has a certain spirit. And you'll hear a lot of our Squamish people saying, well, I prefer swimming or Shuq'wum up in the cold water, the glacier water, or up in the lakes or the creeks or the rivers, which is the way that I was brought up. I was brought up going for my Shuq'wum up in these mountains at Deeks Creek, over at Furry Creek, over at Lynn Creek, and up in these mountains, that's where I go to. But I was always told from a young boy the stories that the young men would go out in a canoe out in Howe Sound here, and there's certain places where there's shelves under the water, and the young men would hold a big rock. You'd find like a really big stone, and you would jump over the canoe and you would sink down to these shelves, and you would swim back up, and you would do that over and over again, because what you're doing is you're transcending into another world. You're putting yourself into what it is like to be in the ocean as an ocean realm. So it's like you're going through a doorway. It's like you're going to another world, and you're humbling yourself, for you may receive gifts in a dream or in a realization or in your skills and what you will do for the rest of your life. You will gain those skills by putting yourself in these environments. So you're connecting to that environment, you're becoming one, and you're being humble because you cannot possibly know everything there is to know about the ocean. We have to be humble. There's so much to learn from the ocean. And the same when we go up to the lakes with the young men, we have to carry big rocks, and we walk into those alpine lakes, and you have to cross the lake as far as you can under the water. And you have to keep doing that, not just once, but many times. You do it over and over again, and it's scary. I've done it. We had to go fasting, we had to go do our solos, and we carry those rocks. And at first it's scary because you can only go so far into the water under your, when your head's under, and then you get scared. So you come back. But eventually you get stronger and you go a little bit further and you keep doing it a little bit further. So it's a way of exercise. It's a way of training ourselves in our traditional ways. And when you're in the salt water, some of the power that the people would get from here when they sink down is they would get certain powers to be medicine people, or they would get gambling power, which seems really weird today to think about not going to a casino, but the ability to accrue wealth and to give that wealth away was a really big quality in our culture. Not to be greedy and make as much money as we can and keep it all to ourselves. In our old society, it was about gathering as much as you can and sharing it with everybody. That was a symbol of wealth, is how much you had to share with one another, so no one was homeless, no one was hungry. A big chief or a big family would share their wealth with everybody, and they would continue to make more and more wealth and share it. So when you train in these places, you can receive certain powers from what we call Squamish, the supernatural, the mystery of the spirit of the oceans and the waters. So I wanted to share a little bit with that. And the young women, I'll share a little bit because my daughter is a teenager now and she's going through rites of passage. The young woman would be put in a little hut, like a sweat lodge type of a thing, and you'd have to fast in there for 4 days. And you'd have a little pebble, a little round pebble, and they'd put it under your tongue. And you wouldn't be allowed to talk. Only the grannies were allowed to come in and talk to you, and they would tell you things. They would teach you, they'd tell you stories, similar to what my sister was doing last night, sharing stories. But they would also keep you busy. You'd have to be weaving or beading or doing something to build your skills as a young woman. For when you become a woman, you would have skills that you can contribute to the community. For the young men, you'd be off on the mountain on your own, and we would come and check on you. We'd be close and we'd keep an eye on you, but you'd have to fast for 4 days and you'd have to swim. So these rites of passage, they're coming back again. We're doing this more and more with our young people. So you're a part of that by being here, by being in the canoe, by coming into the water, by learning a little bit of our language and our stories, and looking at these mountains and these lands through our Squamish lens. You're learning a little bit more of what it means to be family in a Squamish way. But really what this is it's a story of human beings. We're all in the same canoe. We all have a responsibility as we move forward. How are we going to treat this ocean? Are we going to continue to dump chemicals into it? Are we going to continue to poison it? Where our resident orcas are in danger, where the wild salmon are in danger? Are we going to replace those wild salmon with genetically modified salmon? Is that our future? It's not the future that I want. I don't know. Some people want that for money, for economy, and that's okay. We know economy is important. But we have to find the love. We have to find the connection to the ocean and to the natural world so that we recognize every one of you have a responsibility. It's not just me. It's not just Stephen. It's not just the counselors. Every one of you has a responsibility and a choice on how you treat this water. If you're just going to dump stuff into it, or if you're going to allow governments or businesses to dump stuff into these sounds, into the Salish Sea, that's going to poison our future, and that's dangerous. So we have to find a balance. So I ask you to go into the water today, keeping those types of things in your mind. Why are we doing this? It's to focus ourselves. It's like exercising. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. So I'm going to invite our Squamish family, and Stephen, please come and join me as we start our day with Shuq'wum, with greeting of the day. So again, this song comes from Papayuk, which is now known as Stanley Park, where our matriarch Shuq'wum, she lived there in the late 1800s, and she would sing this song when the morning sun would rise, and it was her medicine song. It was her spirit song, her winter song. And it was a song she used and she gave to all of us to use to honor each day as a gift, each day as a blessing. We have no guarantee for tomorrow, and we can't change yesterday. We only have today. So we have to make the most of the day that we have together. What you put into today is what you'll get out of it, and you guys have been working really hard, and I'm really proud of each and every one of you for how much you've worked this last couple days. It's been a real pleasure to be here at Camp Suzuki, and I hope you feel the same way, that you feel rested and ready for a new day today. So let's celebrate that with greeting of the day. Ask you all to have a strong mind, strong thoughts, good positive thoughts, good feeling in your heart as we start our day together. Wechit lolam te hatko kwail, netsnas te oslolam, te natlese kwalia. So yeah, let's have a good Shuq'wum. And those that aren't able to go in the water, again, we just ask you perhaps wash your face, or you could use these cedar boughs and brush yourself off a little bit with some cedar boughs as well. But let's have a good Shuq'wum and start our day. Hoichaka, hosiam.
We went
Shuq'wum.
yeah, Shuq'wum to go into the water, and it was very quiet and peaceful. And if you went out a little ways, it felt like, and treaded water, it felt like you were floating and you couldn't feel your body. It was really nice. That you want to respect everything around you, because that was so nice and peaceful and calm, and it really like made me go into space almost. It was nice. I had a clear mind.
I loved it.
It was neat to see how the First Nations wake up.
You want to come in calm and quiet, and it takes out all of your negativity when you do it. We went very quietly. I did talk a tiny bit, but otherwise I dunked about 4 times, and it was really nice and refreshing.
It was nice. It was really peaceful. Just get that negative energy out. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've done a Shuq'wum before, so I knew what to expect, I guess.